Short refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent. I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and causes of suffering. May they never be separated from happiness, which is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and causes of suffering. May they never be separated from happiness, which is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and causes of suffering. May they never be separated from happiness, which is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Mandala offering. An infinite array of worlds, each with 4 continents and the wealth of infinite ocean of realms. If I bring them all to mind and offer them without exception, please hold with compassion all beings they contain. My body, enjoyments, and whatever I own, my aggregates, elements, and sources, my aspirations now and the time to come, as well as everything I grasp as mine. By offering them all, may I be blessed with the end of self-grasping. Completely liberated from the bounds of real and unreal, transcending the names and attributes of arising, cessation, abiding, coming and going, affirmation and denial. The supreme mandala is the natural state. By offering it, may I be blessed to attain the state of Buddhahood. Om Guru Devada Kini Ratna Mandala Pratitsa Soha. Supplication to Lord Jigten Sungen. Unequal refuge, ornament of the world, your fame pervades the 3,000 worlds. You are Vajradhara without a doubt. I bow at the feet of the Father, Jigten Sungen. Continually I think of no one but you. Compassionate one, grant your blessings. Dispel the darkness that surrounds my heart. Please bless me so that I realize the unelaborate nature of mind. Request for teachings. Please turn the wheel of the Dharma of the 2 vehicles and their combinations according to disposition and likewise the mental capacities of sentient beings.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Now, today,
Okay.
yeah, we're today, yes, as usual, we're studying the jewel ornament of liberation. Like we should say, a Buddhist Bible. Need this book every day in our hand. It's a handy book that will reflect in this those who we are, desire to free from suffering, free from all the cause of suffering, and to experience practical peace and happiness. And so even in samsara, and of course to free from samsara, to cross the borders of the samsara. This book is indispensable. So I'm just saying, candidly speaking, sincerely, this book is just such a precious, not too big, not too complicated, but very concise, complete. Everything is there, whatever we needed. And as I mentioned repeatedly, in a few sentences, Gampopa has such a great skill. He can, write such a way, precisely, without too much words, not being such a big book. Sometimes if you read some big book, just there, just repeating all the time. But here, this book is such a precious. So we are so fortunate, and really, we should appreciate that. We should acknowledge that. This I'm saying very candidly, And now, as you see, how to achieve enlightenment. Those who don't know how to attain Buddhahood, that those who don't know. So here the chapter, Bodhicitta, you see. Bodhicitta is the consummate path to dispel the confusion that what we face, to dispel, to purify that, the obstacle. This is about this bodhicitta. First, how to cultivate, how to comprehend, and then how to practice that step by step through the aspiration bodhicitta, through the action bodhicitta, you see. And then through the action bodhicitta, you see these 6 parameters. So far, we have done first 5, you see. The practice is how to give, what not to give, giving practices to open our heart. Then once you open your heart, and then second, morality, non-virtues. What are those non-virtues to avoid? What are those virtues to accumulate, gather, and exercise? That's called morality. And within that, you see the patience, the aversion. Of course, it relates to all the other mental afflictions, mental delusions, especially the anger. It destroys, it is very destructive. It destroys all our mental peace. So that then perseverance, as you see, how to get out of our laziness, how to enjoy the Dharma, you see. We're so stuck in the samsara, so we don't know how to enjoy samsara. We just go back to the samsara and we try to enjoy it, but always we encounter confusion, problems, suffering, one after another, and cannot get out of that. So here, perseverance, the joyous effort, see, describes all these things you see. Then samadhi, meditative concentration, how beautifully put there. So these are the guidelines we should pay attention, reflect on them and follow that. Some people think we need some special training, special place. Can I go there? Can I do that? Can I this? I need special training. It's all here in the samadhi section. You see, look at here. You know, this the how to free from the distracted mind, agitated mind, and how to follow the the solitary place. All this you see, all are just here. And look at the mind. What problem you have more? Like see, ignorance, aversion, anger, or attachment, pride, jealousy, and this all described here, how to purify them, how to handle them. So you need to sit down, open the book, reflect on it, and meditate. You don't have to go to any special place. If you want, of course, it's your choice, you know, what we can say, you know. Now, today, these five, the last five practices within in samsara, and it's a foundation to cross the samsara. We need all those. Now today is the wisdom awareness, the perfection of the wisdom. It basically is a perfection of the wisdom. Prajna. There are two, you know, you have heard of so much. Prajna and jnana. Jnana and prajna. See, prajna is the wisdom awareness, that realization of the emptiness. Realization of the emptiness is prajna. And wisdom awareness, this is a jnana. Jnana is the inner mind to reflect your mind, seeing as it is. So that's the same thing, but little bit you have to understand the difference. You know? So here we have the perfection of the wisdom awareness, basically is prajna. Now the sum I'll read. Before I read this, first please reflect your mind. So I will study this book, Jewel Ornament of Liberation, to attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. Now this again, what it means is a mind. Mind is not just a piece of brain. No. It's a consciousness. It's an awareness. The rocks, the trees, they don't have consciousness. No. They are just matter. Or like in the things that what we see, touch, is matter. Consciousness is something is different from the matter. It's consciousness. So we have the consciousness. The mind is called mind. Sometimes in now modern science, the scientists, they say mind is brain. You know, they come to explain the mind is brain. Brain is the mind. I think this we should understand. Brain is a matter. It's a piece of, like flesh. It's matter. Consciousness, we cannot see it. We cannot touch it. There's no color to see. There's no form to touch. It's consciousness. So consciousness is such a vast, as you see, as vast as the space. It's infinite. So that now here, the wisdom to reflect on that, to see that we need this wisdom awareness, the perfection of the wisdom. So that now, so we need to cultivate bodhicitta. bodhicitta, cultivation of the bodhicitta is to realize the maximum reality nature of the mind. See, mind should realize by the mind. The matter cannot help us to realize the mind, but the mind can realize the matter. Mind can realize the mind. So we have to understand that. How mind is so profound. It's pervasive. It pervades samsara nirvana. So this is, as I mentioned many times, it's not something religious training. It's not something Buddha has created, but rather Buddha realized as it is. That's why, we call uncontrived, unfabricated, unconfined. Means as it is, the innate nature of it. That's the mind. So mind can realize the mind. The matters like this telescope, powerful machines, they cannot measure the mind. They are just matter, So before I mentioned many times, brain is the office where the mind works, and the heart is the mind's home where the mind abides. Actually, heart is more important than the brain. See, there are some people when the brain is damaged, but the heart is good enough, they can alive, stay. But when the heart is broke, then mind has no place to live. So goes, So see these things, some. Okay, that's. Now that I'll read the summary. Okay. Reflection on the faults and virtues that we know. Definition, classification or division, characteristics of the definition of each classification. Now the difference here, what is to be known, wisdom, and what is to be practiced. So these two are different than others' perfections. And the result, these seven comprise the perfection of wisdom awareness. Okay. Now the first reflection on the faults and virtues, as I mentioned before, Here virtues mean quality, the ability, what it makes sense that even though you may have the practice of generosity, wonderful practice of generosity, you may have moral ethics, purely kept the moral ethics, and practice patience. There are some people really so patient, It's really inspire you. So wonderful. There are some people, the moral ethics is so pure, and they are very hardworking. They meditate day and night. They study well, very expressive. And there are some very good meditators, samadhi practitioners. They can stay for days in the samadhi. So that is saying, meditative concentration, the rank of omniscience will not be achieved if you lack the perfection of the wisdom awareness. But if you don't have this perfection of the wisdom, you will not achieve the omniscient state, means Buddhahood. one cannot become Buddha. So this is what it makes so important, profound. Why we need to practice the Dharma. You see, there are a lot of similarities. We all respect, admire, inspire, wonderful. But when there's no perfection of the wisdom, praja, we are not free from samsara. No matter how smart that person may be, no matter how great that person may be, but without the perfection of the wisdom, we are not free from samsara. See? So we should first aware that. See? Why is this so? Why, This Gampopa is making this question for us, we practitioners, It is like a group. The first is giving example, very good example. You see, it is like a group of blind people who cannot get to the city of their wishes without a guide. See, they are like 1,000 blind people, a group. They want to go special place. They want to go to Washington D.C. to see the what do you call that memorial place, but they need a guide. I'm making a contradiction. When they're blind, they cannot see this. They want to go some relaxed place, but without the guide, they cannot go. Okay. Without a guide, as is said in the condensed Perfection of Wisdom Sutra. This is Buddha taught, in Buddha's teaching sutra. If millions upon billions of blind people are without a sighted guide and do not know the road, they have neither guide nor don't know the road. How can they enter that place? So same way, without wisdom awareness, the five eyeless perfection, as mentioned from generosity, the five eyeless perfection, being without a guide will not be able to reach enlightenment. Just wonderful, example. And just Gampopa brought one quotation from Buddha's teaching, and this gives complete sense. So no need so much, So without eye of the wisdom, we cannot go through the road, cross the border, cannot reach the other side. On the other hand, if you possess wisdom awareness, the perfection of the wisdom, then you will attain the state of omniscient because like a group of blind people who are led into a city with the help of a guide, the entire body of accumulation of virtue, means to perfect all the virtue and wisdom, accumulation of virtue, generosity, and so forth, has been taken onto the path of Buddhahood. All that this generosity and all the other practices then will help us to attain the complete Buddhahood with the support of the wisdom. As is said in the engaging in the middle way, the Madhyamika Avatara by Chandrakirti, just as entire group of blind people is easily led to the place of their choice with the help of one having eyes, then similarly wisdom awareness leads the other eyeless qualities to victory. See, so wisdom, now the other generosity and so forth, there can become a special method to attain to Buddhahood by the help, guide of the perfection of the wisdom. Then next, I'll read this. And the condensed perfection of wisdom sutra says, having completely understood the nature of phenomena, nature of the phenomena means emptiness, by the means of wisdom awareness, one perfectly passes beyond the three realms. Three realms: desire world, form world, formless world. If that's the case, now here's question comes. If that's the case, wisdom awareness alone would be sufficient. Now arguing or debating. Wisdom is so important. In that case, wisdom itself is just enough. Why you need to practice generosity? Why you need to practice the moral ethics? Just practice the emptiness. No. Sometimes now, some people, I'm sure many of you have aware in the past, there are some teachers that come, they will give you the highest view. So now, this highest view, there's no need moralities. You do whatever you like because everything is empty. It's play of the emptiness. See, I'm sure you have encountered those, heard of those. So this is the answer for this confusion. Why do you need all these methods of generosity and so forth? Why you need to practice moral ethics? When you practice the total emptiness, it's free. Where you're taking so a big burden, So none are sufficient. Emptiness alone is not sufficient. Without emptiness, all these methods is also not sufficient. See, the Lamb of Path to enlightenment, Atisha says, it is said, method without wisdom awareness, and wisdom awareness without method are bondage. You see, those are bondage. Therefore, do not abandon ethers. Don't abandon all the relative state of all the good qualities, and do not abandon emptiness, realization of the emptiness. Both are equally important. Now, in relation to this, all the rest that they are coming, so I will just read. Where then will you where will you be bound if you practice method and wisdom awareness separately? If a bodhisattva only depends on wisdom awareness without the method, he will fall into the one-sided nirvana. It's called partial nirvana. peace asserted by the hearers, Sharavaka, and be bound there, unable to attain the non-abiding nirvana, is Buddhahood. Furthermore, it binds one there permanently according to the asserted of the three vehicle system. There are some schools that the three vehicles is just yes, it's just these three vehicles are three vehicle. That's it, And then separately, we are this school not associated to others. So according to that, and then that individual who achieved the Sharavaka state, they will bound or binded permanently. Even according to the assertion of the one vehicle, there are three vehicles, but ultimately only one vehicle. It's called Eka Yana. Eka Yana, one vehicle. Assertion of the one vehicle system. One will be bound there for 84,000 kalpas, eons. If one only depends on method without wisdom awareness, all generosity is very important. Wisdom is not that important, All of us moral ethics are important. Don't just wait, wisdom awareness. No, you no need to rush, So then in that case, one will not cross the beyond being a childish means ordinary, means we cannot free from samsara. Ordinary person. Therefore, one will remain bound to samsara. The Achamadi Requested Sutra says, since the practice of wisdom awareness without method will bind one to partial nirvana, and the practice of method without wisdom awareness, one will bind one to samsara. Wisdom will bind one to samsara. It therefore becomes necessary to unify them. They need both sati and practice. The sutra shown by Vimalakirti says, what is the bondage of all bodhisattvas and what is the liberation? Wisdom awareness not supported by method is bondage. Wisdom awareness supported by method is liberation. Method not supported by the wisdom awareness is bondage. Method supported by wisdom awareness is liberation. So please read these carefully, meditate, make sure you understood. That's very important. Therefore, practicing either method or wisdom awareness separately is the activity of Mara, obstacle, is impediment. Naga King Sagara requested sutra says, there are two activities of Mara, obstacles. Method separated from wisdom awareness and wisdom awareness separated from method. One should abandon these by knowing them to be the activities of Mara. So Mara is not something outside, showing the fangs and the different like hair, all these things. Mara is within the mind. When your mind is not accommodating these wisdoms, the methods, that's the Mara, you see. For example, just as we need the eyes to descend the road, and feet to cross the distance. Here we say feet. That time there was no vehicle, also as a car, or the aeroplane, to cross the distance. Cross the distance in order to reach the city of our choice. Likewise, in order to reach the city of non-abiding nirvana, enlightenment, Buddhahood, we need to unify the eye of wisdom, awareness, with the feet of method. The Mount Gaya Sutra says, in brief, the path of Mahayana is twofold: method and wisdom awareness. Furthermore, wisdom awareness does not arise by itself. For example, even if you kindle a fire from a small amount of wood, a large and long burning, the fire would not appear. But if you made a fire by gathering a large amount of dry wood, it would become the large and long burning, and you would not be able to put it out, even if you try, to extinguish it. Likewise, great wisdom awareness will not arise where there is little accumulation of merit. But on the other hand, the great wisdom awareness will arise where there is a great accumulation of merit from generosity, moral ethics, and patience, perseverance, samadhi, and so forth. And it will burn all obscurations. Therefore, for wisdom awareness, you have to depend on generosity and so forth. The engaging in the contact of the Bodhisattva says, Bodhicharya Avatara. All of these branches, means all the 5 paramitas, were set by the Buddha to be for the purpose of wisdom awareness. Especially method means the relative bodhicitta, the aspiration bodhicitta, the action bodhicitta. They are the most important method to give rise to wisdom. When you have those 2 bodhicittas, the aspiration bodhicitta and action bodhicittas, then you naturally kind of gathered all the other, like practice of generosity and moral ethics, so forth. You don't have to go here and there to do those things. Wherever you are in place, you just enrich and strengthen your those bodhicitta, the aspiration bodhicitta, the action bodhicitta there. And that is the greatest gift to all sentient beings and greatest offering to all the Buddhas. And that's the way you gather all this, you see, virtue. You get rid of all the non-virtues through this. And there is the great patience, you see, and that's the perseverance. And that maintaining of the mind is samadhi, meditative concentration. So please understand how to practice Dharma, you see. Sometimes you keep busy going here, there, I went there, I do this, I did this. You don't know how to sit yourself in a place, Okay. I read that. And now, definition of this perfection of the discrimination, awareness, the wisdom awareness. The definition of wisdom awareness is the perfect and full discrimination of all phenomena. You see, the perfect here, the perfect means jhana, the wisdom itself. You perfect. You see it directly. And then full discrimination of all phenomena is prajna, knowing all the phenomena, which is called omniscient. The collection of the Abhidharma says, what is wisdom awareness? It is perfect and full discrimination of phenomena. Here, phenomena means in Tibetan called che, there's che. So sometimes we translate che as the phenomena. Sometimes we translate as dharma. So dharma Sanskrit also is a phenomena. Just different. You can use that word according to the context. Classification, division. Commentary to Ornament of Mahayana Sutra listed the three types. Now here is Gampopa, now making this division according to the Mahayana Alankara Sutra. Otherwise, there's called the wisdom of hearing, wisdom of contemplation, wisdom of the meditation, Tösam, Komsum, Sharap. Or they are also called the wisdom of knowing the relative state, wisdom of knowing of the ultimate state, and wisdom knowing the unity or non-duality of these two wisdom. So there are different different way of explaining by the different scholars. Now here, in this dual ornament of liberation, see a wisdom awareness of maintain Jigdembe Sharap. Okay, it's called Jigdembe Sharap. And wisdom awareness of the lesser super maintain. This means Jigdembe Deva Chungyu Sharap. So maintain, worldly, samsara, okay, and super mundane beyond samsara. Okay. And see wisdom awareness of the greater super mundane, the great wisdom beyond samsara. Okay. Now the characteristic of each classification, the definition of these each divisions, you say. Wisdom awareness of mundane, the study of medicine and healing, the study of reasoning, all the logics, prana, not prana, prana, and the study of linguistic, all the language, not just only human language, but also the sound. Every sound has a meaning. The sound of water, earth, wind, and the study of the art. Here, not just art, drawing, painting. Here, art is all the engineering, all the constructions. You say the construction of the aeroplane, the railway, the internet, everything. So there's art of physical. The music, the art of music, the art of meditation. This is so much, So please understand this art is not just drawing, expression, painting, but it includes all these constructions of the internet, aeroplanes, road, buildings, all this modern science, you can include into this art. So the wisdom awareness, which they are not perfected wisdom, but they are wisdom, wisdom awareness, which arises in dependence on these four, is called wisdom awareness of mountain. So in this modern 21st century, whatever there is in the world, is included within these four. You see, like say the lawyers, they debate so much, they study laws, and they go to court. Then doctors, all the different types of doctors, the modern doctors, all the arts of the medicines, how to help the patients, describing all the different types of medicines, see, and all the language you speak different. Nowadays there's so many languages people has to learn. If you want to do business, the politics, all these different languages so crucial. You see how this text is so inclusive. All the knowledges are now you can study in this. See, so as mentioned, it's not just a religion. It explains of the reality nature of the samsara, how everything's constituted, within the activities of the samsara. Then next, the two types of supramountain wisdom awareness are called the awareness which arise in dependence in the holy Dharma, means in the wisdom of Buddha. In the samsara, anywhere you go now in the world, you don't find how to free from samsara. See, you can go to all the different places, south, west, north, everywhere. As you do, there are some great politicians, business people, scientists, ask them how we can free from samsara. They will say, what is that? So this wisdom can find through the Buddha's wisdom. You see how precious it is, you see. It shows how our mind is powerful. And the Buddha captured that powerful mind totally, see. And we got the opportunity to study, practice this. So therefore, we have every reason to rejoice, to appreciate, and to feel fortunate, see. But some people say, oh, no, it's okay. So what I'm doing, so I enjoy my life, that's okay, I don't need anything, But those who interested in Dharma, then you see what you're missing, see. Now first, there's a B, wisdom awareness of the lesser supermountain. The first, the lesser supermountain wisdom awareness is the wisdom awareness that arises from the hearing, reflection, and meditation of the hearers, Sharavakas, and particular Buddha, solitary realizer. See, what is that? It is the realization of that the afflicted or defiled aggregates, the skandha, the defiled skandha of personality are impure, as we discussed that in how this body or in nature, how it is impure. so we don't have to go through details. But in the samsara, we make this body as pure as possible, make this our body so pure, make very attractive, and then see how much suffering is there. So much, see, unimaginable. There's some suicide people, This is so impermanent. He has mentioned, of the nature of the suffering. Impermanence is so impermanent, our body, you see. When you're young, you're looking good, very attractive, beautiful, Now, in your age, your face, a lot of wrinkles there. Then you look at the mirror and you are so depressed. Now you don't know what to do. You're so much suffering. Then the doctors, they understand this reality. They try to make a pill, how to make younger, They say, anti-aging, you see. Anti-this, anti-that, you see. Then people are buying all these things, become a very good business, you see, But in reality, you see Dharma, how much wisdom is there. In the samsara, how much suffering is there. If you take anti-aging, still you age anyway, One day will die anyway, Then you see, look at your bath, your bathroom in the place there, You keep their soaps or their, what do you call it, there. How many pills you have, Look at these things, and then you see, when you go to the store, there's a big section there, you see. Yeah. I'm not saying bad things, these are just reality, nature. Reflect. Please don't feel, he's so against all those things, He has a very bad negative mind. We need both sides of the mind, Good side, bad side, understand well, it's very important. Then that wisdom, the descent wisdom, make the decision. You yourself make the decision. So, as you said, Buddha said, you analyze my teaching thoroughly through hearing, through contemplation, through meditations. Buddha is not saying, I made mistake and you should understand that. You see, you should understand what I taught. Don't take it literally. Don't say, Buddha said everything is fine. Buddha said, don't do that. Because you are the responsible to free from samsara. I cannot give you the liberation, but I can show you the path. This is what now. So that's why it's in the samsara, how everything is state of suffering. See, this for individual, not for everybody's interest. There are some individuals, Sharavakas, Partik Buddhas, say that so for them, liberation everybody is impossible. So I just need to free myself from samsara. I cannot take it anymore. So for this car, the lesser, or lesser vehicle, or Sharavakas, this car, super mundane wisdom, say impermanent, and then without self. So reflect on this, you see, personality impure of the nature of suffering, impermanent, and without self. This would come later. Okay. Now, see, wisdom awareness of the greater supermountain. Second, the greater supermountain wisdom awareness is the wisdom awareness that arises from the hearing, reflection, and meditation of the followers of Mahayana. You see, Mahayana means those who have bodhicitta, those who are concerned, everybody in the world, every sentient beings, not only human beings, everyone who has those consciousness, everyone who is the venerable of the all the suffering. No? There's so many who are suffering so much, and there's no protector. Nobody concerned of those. Like you look at this, we call like seafood. Those animals we just use just for our consumption. We don't think of their suffering, but how much suffering they have. See, it's unbearable. There's a lot of pain, you see. But nobody understands. Pay attention. For their own benefit, they torture those. They utilize, and they're suffering so much. See, so that's called Mahayana. So we reflect on the bodhicitta. See, Buddha's teaching is, you see, is the welfare of all the sentient beings. Our own country, you see, in the country, the leader of our country, how much they protect, depend to the leader. Some leaders are so concerned for their own power, ability, how to maintain their own power. But some leaders are really concerned for the people of the country, how to make my country a better place for the people, better living. So you see like this. So Buddha's concern is for all the sentient beings. And then it's not just some simple thing, but rather, you see, based on the causality, the cause, the result, the effect. Look at this. That's what's called interdependent. So that's the reality nature of the whole Buddha's teaching is about. That's what we're studying, what we're practicing. See, so that it is the realization that all phenomena are by nature emptiness, unborn, without a foundation and without root. See, this, as we talked so many times, we are not making empty. How they function within any emptiness. See? How their nature itself is unborn. Without foundation, there's no concrete basis. Without root. Tatel in Tibetan, without root, tatel. All just saying, all are just a manifestation. All are just a reflection. There's no any concrete thing. So we have to know how to make the connection of these interdependent. When this happens, this happens. This is happening because of that. See? So this is the real Buddha's teaching. Nothing to the culture, belief system. Sometimes, even in the Buddhist world, we are so much influenced by culture. You do this is a good symbol, this is a good, oh, rainbow appears, oh, very auspicious sign, rainbow, or rain falls, oh, very auspicious, So there are a lot of like this without studying, practicing the Dharma enough. And what that. So the 700 stanza perfection of wisdom says the realization that all phenomena are unborn. The realization that all phenomena are unborn, that's the perfection of the wisdom awareness. Here, see, very important realization, you see. If we have not realized, then you say, oh, Buddhists believe emptiness, or Buddhists believe rebirth, or Buddhists believe karma. It becomes a belief system because you have not realized. You don't know what this is about. When you realize it's not a belief system, it's reality nature as it is, you see. And the contents perfection of wisdom sutra says, fully realizing that phenomena are without any inherent existence is the practice of the supreme perfection of wisdom awareness. Also, the lamp for path to enlightenment, Atisha says, that which is called wisdom awareness has been thoroughly explained as coming from the realization of the emptiness of inherent existence, which is the realization that aggregates, the 5 aggregates, constituents means the 18 dhatus, and the 18 dhatus, 12 ayatanas, and souls are without birth. Oh, this when you realize, you see, when you realize totally, perfectly, then you can see the nature of the unborn. You can see the nature of the emptiness, but within it is all phenomena, not outside of the phenomena. That what you see, that itself is nature of the emptiness. That what you see is the unborn nature. See. Then you see what that does is then you see that itself, what you in your life, the ignorance, all the defilements, afflictions, now it is called without root. See, these mental afflictions have no place to abide because the mental afflictions are confusion. So when you realize the confusion is dispelled. Okay. Now the number 5. What is to be known? So now from this, there are 3 wisdoms. Which one we should study, practice? Is saying here. The wisdom awareness. From among the 3 types of wisdom awareness, the greater supermountain wisdom awareness must be studied. This will be explained through the 6 topics. Now, Gampopa is going such a carefully, beautifully, very precisely, See. So there are 6 topics. The refutation of grasping things as being existent. The refutation of grasping things as being non-existence. The fallacy of grasping non-existence. The fallacy of both grasping, existence, non-existence, graspings. The path, then the path that lead to liberation and the nirvana, see, last, the nature of liberation. See how beautifully you see put together now. First, the repetition of grasping things. So now we see these things all. I, my, you, this, that. This all we're grasping. We're fixated on this. Things as being existence, you see. In the lamp of the path through enlightenment, Atisha says, it is not logical for something that already exists to arise. Also, something which does not exist is like a sky flower. See? If that is exists, no need to rise because it exists. Nothing to arise, it exists. If it does not exist, then what's to arise? A sky flower. Sky flower looks very beautiful, you know. But sky has no flower, you see. Now, and so forth. So now Gampopa is now making a short explanation of this. It is said to be analyzed by such great reasoning. So these now, if you look at the Matamika Avatara, Santakirti's book, you know, there's so much analysis all about here, this one. You know? So the great reasoning, you see. If this is explained according to the Lamrim's practitioner, like me, simple-minded, you know, who just get to understand and then follow the path, you see. Stages path, you know. Existence and grasping of existence and graspings of existence can all be categorized under two selves. See, first put into two selves. And these two selves are by nature empty. See, these two selves by nature is empty. Gampopa is not making the empty, which they are not empty. But Gampopa is explaining how they exist within the emptiness. You know? What then are these two selves or mind? Says a mind means who's the grasping self? I. It's the mind. The confused mind grasping self. I. This, that, that's what's called. He made self or the mind. There are what is called the self of person and the self of phenomena. So those are two self. First, you get this point too. Self of person, self of phenomena. So get that first. Okay. And now here's first, Gampopa is identifying. Please make sure you understood this. Identifying what's the self of person and what's the self of phenomena. First, we have to get that. Without understanding that, you cannot refute it. You cannot say there's no self. First, what are those? And what's the self of person or mind? Although there are many systems of explanation concerning this, there are many Buddhist schools, philosophers, they explain, they identify differently and explain so much different And there's so many books written about this, In reality, a person is the combination of awareness. The person is the combination of awareness and the continuity of afflicted aggregates. See this first, you see, this very important to identify. Our awareness, say, I. Here, continuity of afflicted or defiled aggregates. Now, yesterday I went there. I saw this. Other day I met my friend. I went there. And then last year I was. And then this is my picture when I was 1 year old. You show the picture. Say, this is me when I was 1 year old. There's a continuity of holding the grasping in your mind, your awareness. This one, the day I was born, the baby. You see, in reality, it's a baby who doesn't know how to speak. And 1 year old, 5 years old, see, totally different now. Now I'm old, I'm in the 70s, 80s, 60s. And the 5 years old, 10 years old, totally different. But it's grasping, the continuity of that awareness, relation to these 5 aggregates, 5 defiled or afflicted aggregates. Make sense? First, this is very important to have this, your understanding. Identifying what self of person. See? Always then that hopping about, fluctuating and reckless, then we just play so much, become so busy here, there, thinking so much what to do, what not to do, to protect I need this, I need that, I have to do this, I need this, all this, the continuity of the defiled aggregates, to protect that. The Sutra piece says, this continuum is called the person. So continuum, that 5 aggregates. In other words, it is just recklessness and fluctuation. Nature is, that nature is recklessness and fluctuation. Having grasped this person as self, as being permanent and unique, say now we have something permanent feeling, as I mentioned. This is when I was, this is that, always this is me. When I went to there, we had this. When I did this, yesterday this, there's something, a sense of permanent. I never think I'm so impermanent, I think I'm so real, I'm so permanent. Then unique, say, I am, you see. I don't share with others. This is me. It's unique, different from others. Make sense? Look at this first, look at this in our mind. Is this religious belief? Is this Buddhism? Or is this something universal? Reality. First, understand this. See, make sure you understood this. One then clings to it, and become attached to it. So then attached to myself, I, or self, which sometimes we say self or I. No, this is me. This is myself. Something very exists. Then there's a lot of exaggerations there. You see even different different Buddhist school which will come, and even other religion, then there's called self. Self, really, there's a self, that's called divine self, divine soul. You have heard of those things. Then there's something, when you see the divine soul, then you saw the Brahman, Lord, called exaggerations. You imagining, this. That is what should be known as the self or person or mind, you see. Now, this is what we should identify, understand what self is. See how carefully Gampopa explained, just to identify, just to what is self is about. See? The afflicting emotions, all the defilements, confusions, emotions are produced by this self. Now, first is called no self, but we are holding this me, I am, ignorance. Then there comes attachment, aversion, pride, jealousy. All the mental afflictions are produced from there. See? Let's just look at it. As I mentioned, don't take it personally, but just as like going to college. So this is what they're talking about. You investigate yourself, whether it makes sense or not. Then karma is produced by the mental affliction. Then there comes interaction back and forth, and that we create different karma cause. It's called afflicted virtue, afflicted non-virtues. All the various different types of cause are created from this. Because of this cause that we created, as a result, suffering is produced by this karma. So how beautifully explained this, you see. Therefore, the root of all suffering and faults is the self or the mind. Just holding the first, we're just holding the self. Then, through this confused mind, then produce all the mental afflictions, mental delusions, confusions, and then we create so much different types of karma. Then we messed up, the whole system in the world, we messed all this. And then difficult to comprehend, Just for example, now they're talking so much about the what do you call it, the environment, on the weather system, all this we created the cause. The commentary on violet cognitions is by the Indian great the logician Dharmakirti. If the self exists, one knows other. So when first you holding self, I, then there's other, I and other. From self and others arises attachment and aversion. Then you attach to yourself, I, and there's aversion to others. There's a competition, confrontation. So you and they, there's confrontation, competition, there's challenges there. reversions. From there, or from them, then complete interaction, all the conflict arises, is mentioned. Then from, say, later will come, no, say, he said, then I, there comes my, I, mine, our side, your side, from couple, then whole family, whole group, then whole county, whole state, then whole country. This is mine and this is yours. There's all this conflict now rise from there. Now look at nowadays in the world, you see. Began from here, started from here. How much now suffering is there? In between, so many people are suffering because of this confusion, ignorance, mental afflictions. Then we made very sophisticated weapons to destroy the others. And within that, so many people are suffering now, you see. So this understanding what's called Buddha's teaching. It's not just how to chant, how to chant mantra, and melodious mantra, beautiful, It's such a pleasant feeling. But without understanding this, then what? First, when these are well understood, then on above that, then after that, Deity Yoga, all this, then you can start, you see. Now, this is the first you should please understand about what about the person of the self, person self, identifying what is the person self. Now, next, the self of the phenomenon. Now, what is the self of phenomena? See, one should know phenomena as the object of outer fixation and the mind of inner grasping. See, we call fixation grasping. Fixated outside, all these things, things exist, were fixated. And then the mind grasping on this. In Tibet it's called Sungzin, Sungzin, Sungwa fixated, Ziba grasping. Why these called phenomena? Why it's called phenomena? Because they hold their own characteristics. Everything, their whole characteristics, characterize. So can you characterize about this? You have in your hand, you have this boat or piece of precious something, rocks or piece of wood. You say so precious. So why is precious? Please, can you characterize this? Means, can you define? Can you explain about that? See, characterize. So we characterize everything. See, because they hold their own characterize. The sutra piece says that which holds its own characteristics is called a phenomena. Chö in Tibetan. Tsinyin zila chö shi cha, that's called. Tsinyin zimba. Tsinyin is characteristics. Zimba is whole. it holds its own characteristics. It's called phenomena. So first, we just know have this. Nowadays, scientists are so skillful. I mean, they have a great skill how to characterize of whatever they found something. No? The self, this is something like you see, what's the characteristics of the fire? Hot and burning. See, the fire is unique, is hot and burning. That's called characteristics of the fire. What is water's characteristic? The liquid. No. And what's the characteristic of the wind? Light, very light. Light and moving. No. Yangxing Yoa. So each has its own characteristics. So if the people, millions of people there in a city, as soon as you see your friend, within that millions of people, you can immediately recognize your friend. Oh, you are here. Because that person, your friend, holds its own characteristics, so you can recognize that person. Now you see, your cup, you have the cup, and it holds its own characteristics. There are 100 people together there, and your cup is there, and you just recognize immediately, say, this is my cup. So that's what's called characteristics. Through that characteristics, you just recognize things. That's what's called phenomena. Yeah. No, well, we're seeing this as something real, existent. This is exists. It is exist. It's real. No. The self of phenomena consists of these two, fixation and grasping, holding them as an existence and attached to them. So this is my cup, this is my house, this is my this is my friend, this is this, that. Then, well, first we're seeing this, they real exist, and then we're attached to this. And this is my enemy, I don't like it, So we have that kind of norm, all contradictions. So due to this grasping and fixation. Explain how this was now. Explain how the two of selves are, now this self of the person, self of the phenomena, are by nature empty. By nature, they both are empty. Then you say, are you crazy? I have my friend, he's not empty, she is not empty, It exists there, we talk. You are crazy. First, to refute the self of person. Now you see, Gampopa's explanation so skillfully. So, with very short, few sentences, identify the both selves. Now, how to see them as empty. So first, the person, see, self of empty. Acharya Nagarjuna says in the precious garland, jewel garland, saying that I and mine exist is contrary to the ultimate meaning. Is against, in the ultimate meaning now, the relative state, ultimate meaning. Now we have to understand this. Ultimate state, relative state in this case. Otherwise, very difficult to communicate. You have to say, this is ultimate, this is relative. before we understood reality nature. The meaning here is that the self does not exist in the ultimate sense. If the self or the mind existed ultimately, then when the mind had insight into the truth, the self should exist. So now a practitioner, meditator, who have really meditated, got a good guidance from a perfect teacher, great teacher, who guided that person step by step, and finally realize as it is. So at that time, if the self exists, you should see it. But say it's not, cannot see it. No, the self should exist. However, when mind has insight, special insight, into the essential nature of the truth as it is, self is not there. The self, what you're holding, I, me, I am, very important. No? Nobody can defeat me. Where does the self is? That time, you cannot see it. You cannot see it because it's not there. See, the self is not there, see. Therefore, the self does not exist. Therefore, the self is not exist. It's not your imagination. It's not a Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist belief, or it's not somebody belief, or it's not somebody Buddha belief, but that's reality nature. Doesn't matter any places you go, you cannot see it. The precious garland says, therefore, when one fully realizes as it is perfectly, you see, it's very important, fully realize as it is, then perfectly. These three words are very important. It's not something imagination. It's not something fabrication. It's not something imputed. Or it's not something I believe, you believe. But in reality, that's why it's called as it is. And there's no confusion. That's why it's called, it's called perfectly. The two not exist. My, I, and my. We say, no, these two not exist. Now, Gampopa is explaining here. Realizing as it is perfectly means seeing the truth as it is. That's so. We in the relative we say it's the truth. In Tibetan, Dhamma, truth, reality nature. Seeing the truth. Two, not arising means the non-arising of the grasping of I and mine. I and mine. This true self, I and mine, is not exist. Furthermore, if the self or the mind does exist, then investigate whether it arises from itself. See, now these are very important investigation. Thoroughly, see, if it is exist, now this all analysis through the realization, through the meditation realization, Now you cannot find it. Now, so I know, so I understand. You realize you don't see it, but still I have I. I'm not realized, but in my mind I have I. I went to college, university. I was taught, I is very important. You should have a career. You should have this, that, all this. Very important. I believe myself. Then you should investigate. Here, say now, Gampopa. See. Furthermore, if self or mind does exist, then investigate whether it arises from itself, or say from other, or from both, or from the 3 times past, present, future, 3 times. Okay. It does not arise from itself because either the self already exists or it does not already exist. So now you examine. The self is exist where? No, it arises from itself. So where it is exist, look at it in your mind. I, self, where? No. Because the self already exists. If the self is already exist, or it does not already exist. If it does not already exist, then it cannot become a cause to produce self. If it does not exist, self itself is not exist, how it can cause to produce? Then it cannot become a cause to produce self. If it does already exist, then it cannot produce its own result. If it is exist, then it cannot produce, because itself, there's nothing to produce because it itself is exist. These are very sharp mind. You need a penetrating mind to see it. Then it cannot produce its own result. Since it itself is exists, so how it can produce by itself? Because itself is there. If it is there, it is there. So no need to produce something new. So there is contradiction in a self. So if it not exist, how it can be produced? Because there's nothing to produce, is not exist. If the self is exist, then no need to produce because it exists. So there's contradiction on that. So this you read very carefully. It also does not rise from others. Now, from others that from itself and from others. Because the other is not a cause. They're two different. So it's not a cause for this, saying basically, How it not be a cause? How is not be a cause to produce the other? A cause must be related to the result. So when you say cause, means there's a result. If there's a result, then you can say this is the cause. If there's no result, how you can say it is cause? It's all related. Until there is a result, it is not possible for there to be cause, you see. When you see the result, then you can say, this is the result, this is the fruition, or this is the effect of from this cause. When there's no cause, how you can say this is result? This very fine, examination, very subtle in investigation. When there is no cause, a result does not arise. When there's no cause, result does not arise. As was shown before. So result and the cause are there not together. So this saying is generally relative. This say ultimately. Now here you have to understand. Ultimately, if this exists, the self is exist, then how it exists within itself, or it exists from others. If it exists within in itself, then no need to arise anything because it exists. If it does not exist, how it can rise others? There's no cause. When there's no cause, there's no result. When there's a result, the cause should be there. That which we don't see it. So this is now, you have to really have a very sharp mind to penetrate. Sometimes not so easy, but you have to read it again, reflect it. Then you should see relatively there's cause, there's a result. You see, you cannot deny, say. Ultimately, he's saying there's no such. This is the ultimate result. This is the ultimate cause. In that case, then ultimately this cause no need to result anymore because it's the ultimate cause that itself. So you have to kind of say, convince about this analysis. I think the translation is not so bad, These are translations not so easy, Generally, you can say, oh, yes, this is be kind, be nice, wonderful, that's all, that's what the Buddha teaching is about, Says, it's okay, This point, when you go this way, then say, you go thoroughly inside. But Gampopa put in such a simple, little, not so much complicated. This he made as simple as possible for us. Okay then. The self also does not arise from both, from oneself and others. Both arguments are faulty, as explained earlier. The self also does not arise from the three times, past, present, future. It does not arise from the past. Now this self I have is not produced from past. If I say, yes, it's produced from the past, today the self is produced from the past, then because the past is like a rotten seed, it's a rotten seed. There's no any potent to produce anything. It's past, gone. Past is past, it's not here. In our mind, we have past. Oh yes, I remember yesterday all this. Right now, I'm grasping the past as a now here, Yesterday I went these places and I saw these people and there's wonderful people. I had a wonderful lunch, all this. You are grasping. In reality, it's gone. It's not here. It's rotten. But in our dualistic mind, we're holding as real. So, rotten seed, so its dominating power exhausted. All the powers, the energy, whatever there is past is past. Anyway, past is past. It's not there. It does not arise from the future, since that would be like the child of a barren woman does not exist. Tomorrow is not here. I worry so much for tomorrow. Tomorrow, what should I do? I need something for tomorrow. We worry so much for tomorrow, for next year. So much we worry when all our energies are consumed by this. But it's like the the child of the barren woman. It's not exist. See. It also does not exist from the present, since it would not be appropriate for the producer and the produced to arise together. So the producer and what to be produced is too different. The producer is now, and the produced is future. How it can be together now and now and the future cannot walk together in that very instant moment. It's mentioned you need that's why you need very good shamatha. When you have a very good shamatha, meditative karma abiding, unwavering, then you can get a glimpse of this. Oh yes. And this moment is also you divide. Past, future, past, future, past, future. It's not exist. So past is I, the past is past, it's not here. Future is not come yet, no. And this moment is what is producer, no, totally different. One is cause, one is result, cannot come together. The result and the cause cannot come together. Because the cause is either past. If it is past, you can see result. If the result is future, the cause is now too different. So ultimately, it's all just, it's non-existence. See? See, to rise together cannot possible. Therefore, the pieces, the precious jewel garden says, since the self does not arise from itself, as I mentioned, others, it does not arise from others. It does not arise both, other and oneself, all the three times. So the grasping of the self is exhausted. Then through this analysis, you get the point. You understood well. So there's nothing to grasp. So you are grasping of the self has no basis. It's exhausted. It cannot be functioned. That's the reality nature, see. So does not arise means that is not produced or born. Or one should understand it this way. Investigate which is called self, to see whether it exists within one's body, within mind, or within a name. See, if you have not so clear about this, but then you look at the practically, look at the I myself say it exists with the body, mind, name. See, now let's go through this. This body is of the nature of the four elements. You see, now our body uses the four elements. This solidity of the body is earth, bone, flesh, those earth. Its moisture is water. Its heat is fire, and its breath and modalities are wind. Thus, the self or the mind does not exist within these four elements. Look at your flesh, bone itself. No. Look at your blood, it's yourself. No. You're breathing out and in itself. No. Moisture of the body is self. No. This is like, so now I say, thus the self or the mind does not exist within these four elements, just as the mind does not exist within the four outer elements of earth, water, fire, and wind. So like the outside four elements does not have self, Does the self exist within the mind? Or maybe I feel good, I feel I feel good, I don't feel good. All this looks like a self exists in my mind. So now you say, no, it not exist, because the mind does not exist anywhere. So look at first your mind. Where do your mind exist? Having not been seen by either oneself or others. Can you see your mind? How big, how small, what kind of color? Or if your friend can see your mind, cannot see. Since the mind itself does not exist, so the self does not exist. Where the mind itself exists within the body, outside, with parts of the organ, you cannot see your mind. So when the mind cannot see, how you can say yourself is exist? So with the body, the four elements, composite of four elements, as like the outer elements, not exist itself. Mind, you cannot see your mind, others cannot see your mind. So that means when the mind is not exist, how you can say the self exists. Now, does the self exist with a name? Your name, yes or no? Let's say Peter. Oh yes, I'm Peter. My name is Peter. And then somebody praises Peter. Oh, Peter is so kind, so gentle, so wonderful. You feel so good. Oh, I'm good. If somebody says Peter is so bad, he's a liar, all these things, and you feel so bad, you are so angry, So now self is in the name. Now look at CSA. No, because the name is just something temporarily assigned. So you can change name Peter. Oh, I don't like Peter, calling Peter. I like, say, William. No, I like my name as William. I say you can change. You see, you can change your name anytime. So that means the self is not with the mind. It does not exist within the material. The self is not exist in the material. No. Your table, look at in your front of your table, is not the self. No. Nor does it have any relation to the self. So the name, these things, material things, there's no relation with the self. Thus, by these three reasons, the self of the person or mind has been established as non-existent. So through this, in the relative state, you see, you investigate thoroughly and you understand self is not exist now. Now, why we call still I, myself, I attach to this and this. You have to know, there are some teachers, you have to praise so much. If you don't praise, the teacher is so upset, you know. You have to praise your Dharma students, all these teachers, you know, you have to praise to have a good connection. Otherwise, then there's a fighting, all these things. Why, you know? Self is not exist. So are we really followers of Buddha? Or we are fake? It's the habit. It's called inveterate propensity. The habit is so deeply rooted, and then we're grasping on it. That's what's called Dharma practice. It's crucial. That's why it's called step, lamrim, step by step we have to follow. There's no magic. There's no magical way to liberate. If it is, Buddha must have it done by now. It takes a long time, a long experience. So you see, Buddha's teaching is real for peace in the world. Not just by praying, but practical means. See, now it is taking so much. These are two topics of which refuted the self of phenomena, no existence. It will be shown that the object of, so now up to this is now refuting or analysis. The self of the person is not exist. So please make sure first you understood as just glimpse. Now it's no saying, there's a notion, label, self, I, you. There is, of course, I got this, even Buddha said, when I enlightened, you know, my Dharma teachings should understood by everybody. They should have a world, the peace, you know. The relative state, all these experiences that we have, Buddha is not denying. What is teaching here is we have to uproot our confusion, our delusions, the cause of suffering. So we don't need that. You know, it has been a long time that we are totally, you know, infused, you know, this confusion. and we have never come to the point, so now I'm free from all the suffering. Even you have become billionaires, still you are not free from suffering. What went wrong? You know? People are talking so much how to become a billionaire. Such these billionaires, now trillionaires, you know, they are coming. Still there's no real peace and happiness. Because the root cause of sufferings is within us. We have to take care of that. How to first purify, first recognize, then purify the habit. So Dharma practice means purifying the habit, the propensities, step by step. No? So Buddha spoke candidly, directly, precisely, you know, how everything functions. Now it is our responsibility how to share. First, we start ourselves to practice, then we share others how to help. Small way. First, you practice like loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta. Hence, taking refuge in the Buddha Dharma Sangha. So everything's, you know, changing. Everyone is suffering. Like this, start this way. Slowly, get the message. It's difficult to uproot our habit. Sometimes very painful. You know, we don't like to change my habit. To say, this is my way. I don't like to change my way, you know. Now next is to now more subtle, to now investigate the self of the phenomena. See, there are two topics which refute the self of phenomena. It will be shown that the object of outer fixation does not exist. First, what we see now, all this not exist as we perceive. And that the mind of inner grasping does not exist. The mind itself does not exist. Explanation of the first. Some Buddhists asserted that the outer objects are substantially exist. The Vyavashika school, it's called Vyavashika school, say that the smallest particle, by their very nature, physically exists as a material, which are the smallest dust particle, which is cannot divide. That one is round. Smallest particle is round and unitary and partless itself. And it is partless, no part. These particles are surrounded by other small particles, but with a space in between each one. Now they appear to be undivided, like a grass in a lush field, or the tail of the yak or tail of the horse. They do not fly apart, but are held together by the karma of the sentient beings. So it has been said. Now the next Savatantrika school system says that even though there are particles, dust particles. They surrounded each other without space in between, but do not touch. So this is what they asserted, what they believe, you know. We should read it. Although they make these assertions, neither is correct. Now from the, so to say, wisdom, Buddha's wisdom. Buddha taught these things, people to now grow step by step. That's what's called lamrim. Step by step you follow. Right from the beginning, Buddha did not say everything's empty. Buddha said that? No, did not say that, no. Or everything is Mahamudra, you know. Buddha did not say everything is a Dzogchen, you know. Only awareness, intrinsic awareness, that's it, you know. Buddha didn't say that. First, you should avoid all the non-virtues, no? Accumulate all the virtues through the Four Noble Truths, step by step. You see, Ayatdeva says, now in the Ayatdeva 400 stanza says, first, Buddha taught how to avoid all the non-virtues. You know? Why they're suffering in the world? What are the cause of the suffering? All this. What are the cause of those suffering, non-virtue? Is the self-grasping. So Buddha taught how to delete the grasping the self. Then Tamata Shikundo. Finally, Buddha taught all the grasping of the views should be avoided, purified. So this is very important. That way we know what Buddha's teaching is about. Then we know how the construction of the samsara, the construction of the nirvana, you know, step by step, like see, no? So but do not touch. Although they make these assertions, neither is correct because of the particles existing is one or they exist as many. If a particle is one, it must be either divisible into parts or not. So now they believe there's a dust particle, smallest dust particle, that independent, that exists by itself. Because of the many collection of the particles, then this you can see the growth, this whole planet, mountains, all this scene. But there is a basis to composite that is the smallest dust particle, as explained here. Now there's question, does that particle is independent? It can divide it or cannot divide. So now using the very sharp mind, you see, it's called quantum physics theory. It's either divisible into parts or not. If it can be divided into parts, then there must be an eastern. So the direction, smallest dust particle should have eastern direction, western, south, north, no? Western or north, southern or northern, and upper and the lower, the 6 particles. So the 6th part, we should say 6th part. Since it has now become 6 parts, you see, the assertion that the particle is, your assertion that the particle is one is refuted, is not one. Now it becomes a 6, you see. So if you divide that way, then you can see it's nothing left. If a particle cannot be divided into parts, then whole things, the whole universe, whole mountain things would be of the nature of one particle, then there's no part, no matter how many parts dust particle come together, cannot become bigger because there's no part. So whole mountain is just, it becomes one part, one particle. But this is obviously not the case. You can see this more. You can see the mountain. No? This regard, the 20 verses, the Vasubandhu says, if six parts are applied to one particle, as you believe, the one particle, then the smallest particle becomes 6. So your assertion is refuted. If 6 are to be found into one, if you say there's no any particle, only one, then you can see the 6th part, it becomes one place. The conglomerations, ration becomes the same as a single particles. So this is the refuting one particle, which exists independently, refuted that one. I can read one paragraph. Now, about there are many particles. Now that's one particle assertion is refuted, defeated. So now the Vivasaka, they say, oh yeah, there are many particles. If one particle exists, if the one particle exists independently exists, then it would be proper to say that many. Then you can say many independent particles come together, you can say many. See? Being the accumulation of ones could also exist, but because one particle cannot be shown to exist, many also cannot exist, you see. Now, as we have decided, we have divided and investigated, we understood the one particle is not exist independently. So how you can say there are many? Even one is not exist. How you can say there are many? No. Therefore, since the smallest particle does not exist, see, other outer objects being of nature of that particle are also non-existent. This is now exactly the modern quantum physics theory is proved here. Way back, this goes to at the time of Buddha until now. Then what are these existence things that appear to our perception? So now they're asking Vivasaka and Sautantrika, what are those? We see this tree, mountain, all this. Why there we see them if they not exist? The appearance of outer objects is due to the delusion of one's mind. Since the mind arises like this, there are appearances. How can we understand that this is the case? One should understand through the scripture, reasoning, and simile. Through these three, way we can understand is just the mind's perception. Now we have to go this tomorrow, no? So how interesting, you see. How amazing, see, analysis there and meditation practices. There's a lot that we can discuss, you see, how precious it is. Now, wisdom section is not that easy, you know, but this is the way we have to go through, study, practice. So don't, Gampopa, you see, wrote this book for us, Dharma practitioner, to get the real benefit that we can go through step by step, but not. So these are other books. I'm sure you have seen their books written about these things, many thick books, so much, but Gampopa put here very simple, few lines, few paragraphs, and brought into such a clear picture. So we just need to pay little attention and read it again, meditate, investigate, just see for your own conviction, for your own understanding, if it makes sense or not. No? Then we have to go through step by step. This way you can understand what emptiness is about. Otherwise, they say, oh, everything's just play of emptiness, it's play of the Namakaya. It doesn't solve much problem. It doesn't reduce our ego, Our ego stays the same. Before 20 years, 30 years, you studied Mahamudra and Dzogchen and all these things. Still, our ego is stronger, more established, Our attachment is stronger because we didn't have good foundation. So now through this way, practice, study step by step, then you can breathe. Okay, it makes sense. Okay. Now please take a deep breath. Inhale fully. The blessings to all the Buddhas into us. And purify our mind and exhale. And now please inhale once more all the bodhicittas, the Buddhas, bodhisattvas into us. And heal our mind. Make our mind stronger, courageous. And exhale all our delusions. Now please inhale all the special insight of the Buddha and permeate with our mind and the body. Our grasping, fixated to this body and mind are all purified. Just see as the rainbow and exhale all our delusion. And now we appreciate, rejoice the opportunity we got. So whatever time I have, now I will study and practice. I purify my just grasping. Because of this, now, which tomorrow we'll study, go through step by step, we see everything's illusory nature. Everything's like a dream that comes from there. So from there comes the fearlessness. When we practice, doesn't matter it takes time, doesn't matter. Many lifetimes, aeons, it takes time, doesn't matter. But we utilize this body, this opportunity to help ourselves and to help others. Enrich our bodhicitta, the relative bodhicitta and absolute bodhicitta. So with this mind, please say some dedication prayers, Anila.
A concise long life prayer for Rinpoche. You who are richly endowed with glorious wealth of Dharma knowledge, who through reflecting, meditating, have actualized the self-aware absolute reality and shine with 100,000 light rays of ethical discipline of the Buddha Dharma. May you, Kenshin Ratnal Zawa, live long. Dorje Chang, Tilopa, Naropa, Marpa, Milarepa, Dharma Lord Gampopa, Phagmadrupa, and Lord Rikumpa. Please bestow upon us the highest and the most auspicious blessings of the Kagyu Lamas. By this virtue may I achieve the all-knowing state, and may all who travel the waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death cross the ocean of samsara by defeating all enemies, confusion. Bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind, where its unborn made arise, where its born made not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. I pray that the Lama may have good health and long life. I pray that your Dharma activities spread far and wide. I pray that I may not be separated from you. As Manjushri and likewise Samantabhadra realized the ultimate state Buddhahood, I will follow in their path and share the merit with all sentient beings. By the blessing of the Buddhas who attained the three kayas, by the blessing of the truth of unchanging Dharma as such, by the blessing of the indivisible Sangha order, may the merit I share bear fruit. By the virtues collected in the three times by myself and all beings in samsara and nirvana, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete enlightenment. May the teachings of the great Rikumpa Ratnasiri, who's omniscient Lord of the Dharma, Master of interdependence, continue and increase through study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until the end of samsara. Rinpoche, thank you. This is such a heavy topic, and you make it so easily understandable. We can almost grasp it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Yes,
Thank you,
thank
Rinpoche.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you,
Yes.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Rinpoche.
Thank you,
Hasta mañana.
Yes, hasta mañana.
Thank you, Kenshin.
Thank you.
See you. See you.
Thank you, Kanchana.
Yes. Wonderful.
Yes.
Muntabak.
Thank you.
La, la.
Yeah, muchas gracias. Yeah,
Thank you.
hasta mañana. See you tomorrow.
Mañana.
Rinpoche, I will not be here tomorrow, unfortunately. I will see you next Saturday.
Yes. Modern is enlightened now. Everyone is very closer to enlightenment.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful your patience for many years, continuing the Dharma study practice. I'm really grateful. Thank you so much. We have there are some good Nama practitioners, all you are here is many years, many years, wonderful. We're aging together, okay? Please take care, just relax, enjoy Dharma, okay? Yeah, okay.